Today, we're cracking open a really fascinating text. It's an ancient Chinese guide to military strategy that's become a secret weapon in the modern corporate world, the 36 Stratagems. Now, this isn't your typical business school stuff. This is the original playbook for how to outthink your competition. So you've got to wonder, right? Can tactics from ancient battlefields actually help you win in modern business? We're talking about timeless wisdom on leverage, deception, and timing. And I think you'll see it might just hold the key to navigating the ruthless markets we see today. Let's find out. Now, we're not just going to go through a boring list of these stratagems. Instead, we're going to treat this as a four-phase playbook. Think of it like a complete strategic campaign from the moment you start your surveillance to that final decisive move. Okay, first things first. Before you can even think about winning, you have to see the field. You have to see it clearly. So phase one is all about intelligence. It's about observation and really understanding that competitive landscape before you commit a single dollar or a single employee. This first stratagem is all about not walking into an ambush. Instead of just charging into a new market totally blind, you beat the grass. You make a small, calculated move to see what snakes, what hidden risks or competitors slither out into the open. It's about probing, not launching a full-scale attack. And you know what? Companies do this all the time. Announcing a product that's still way out in the future can totally scare smaller players out of the market. Or buying just a tiny stake in another company sends these ripples through the financial world, and it reveals how investors really feel. It's all about grabbing that crucial intel with minimal risk. Okay, this next one is a masterclass in patience. While your competitors are busy burning through their resources fighting each other, you just stand back and watch the fire from across the river. This isn't being passive. It's about strategically holding onto your strength while your rivals completely exhaust their own. You know, there's a great proverb for this. When the snipe and the clam are locked in battle, it's the fisherman who profits. In business, that could mean letting two of your rivals get into a nasty price war. As they're bleeding cash and market share, you can get ready to just sweep in and pick up all the customers who are tired of the chaos. Sometimes, patience is your best weapon. So, you've watched the landscape, you've gathered your intelligence, now it's time for phase two, making your move. This is where you go from watching to acting, using sharp, decisive maneuvers to really seize the advantage. And when you do decide to attack, you've got choices. Do you take an indirect approach, hitting them where they're vulnerable to force a reaction? Or do you go straight for the head, targeting the most important player in the whole game? Let's break down both. This is that indirect path. The name actually comes from a historical battle, where instead of sending troops to help the state of Zhao, which was under siege, the strategist did something brilliant. He attacked the aggressor's home capital, which was undefended. This forced their army to abandon the siege and race home. The lesson here, don't meet strength with strength. Hit them where they're weak. And a perfect modern example of this is Apple's launch of the iPad. They didn't try to build a better laptop than Microsoft or Dell. No way. Instead, they attacked a weak spot, that empty space between a phone and a laptop. By creating the iPad, they didn't just fill a niche, they created a whole new battlefield where they made the rules, forcing everyone else to scramble onto their turf and play their game. Now, what about the direct approach? Capture the chief. In business, this means you identify the kingpin, the market leader, the most influential customer, the top talent, and you go after them. By winning them over, the rest of the market just naturally follows. It's all about focusing your energy on that one target that creates a domino effect. And this brings us to the highest level of strategy, phase three. This is where you stop just playing the game and you start actively changing the rules of the game. This is where the real power is. I love this one. You don't have to put out a roaring fire if you can just remove its fuel. So instead of fighting a rival's powerful brand head-on, this strategy teaches you to find that critical resource that fuels their success. Maybe it's a key supplier, a distribution channel, a vital partnership, and you just take it away. This story is legendary. Back in 1996, Pepsi completely dominated Venezuela, and their strength was fueled by an exclusive relationship with their bottler. So what did Coca-Cola do? They didn't launch a huge ad campaign. Nope, they secretly went in and bought the bottler. Overnight, Pepsi's firewood was gone. Their market share collapsed from 45% to almost nothing, while Coke's shot up to 50%. It was a perfect and ruthless execution. This is the art of setting the perfect trap. You create an opportunity that just looks too good for your competitor to refuse. You entice them to climb up onto the roof to grab it. And once they are fully committed, you take away the ladder, making their decision irreversible and leaving them completely stranded. The process is actually pretty methodical. First, you bait the trap with something really appealing. That's the ladder. Then you patiently lure them into committing. And the final critical move is to remove their only path of retreat. A company might do this by signing a competitor to an exclusive long-term contract, locking them into a technology that's just about to become obsolete. They're stuck up on the roof with nowhere to go. All right, we've seen how to observe, how to attack, and even how to shape the game itself. But what about when things go wrong? When you're the one on the losing end? Well, that brings us to our final move, the stratagem that is often the wisest and definitely the hardest to pull off. This is maybe the most profound lesson in the whole playbook. When you're in a losing battle, the absolute best strategy is to run away. Now, this isn't about surrender. It's about a disciplined, strategic withdrawal to preserve your strength, to preserve your capital, so you have the resources to fight again on a much more favorable day. You know, we always celebrate perseverance, never give up, but true strategic genius often lies in recognizing a lost cause before it completely drains you. Quitting a failing project or exiting a money-losing market isn't a sign of weakness. It's an incredible act of strength that keeps your options open for whatever comes next. So, from probing the market to trapping a rival, these ancient stratagems give us a really powerful new way to look at modern strategy, and they leave us with one last, pretty challenging thought. In a world that praises fighting to the bitter end, could the ultimate competitive advantage actually be the wisdom to know when to just walk away? That's something to think about.